Blessings, my beloved brothers and sisters in the faith. I do hope you're well. A very big welcome to the Yearning Soul Christian Lifestyle Channel. My name is Grace, and I used to be SANGOMA until I had an encounter with Christ, which led me to being delivered, coming out of occultism, being set free, traveling to Israel, and God just doing an amazing work within my life. And so, my beloved siblings, if you're joining us for the first time, please do check our very first video upload to hear more about my story. And so, to head straight into the topic for today, the 14 signs that you are dealing with a witch. Okay, and I know this is deep, it's a deep topic. We said we're going to be going a little bit more in details and in depth in the weeks to come about my story and about my experience from my past. And so, my beloved siblings, this video is meant to achieve that. And if you're joining us for the first time, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel and to share this channel with your beloved family members and friends. Do not forget to like, comment, and hit the notification bell below so that the algorithm can literally push us up. And sometimes I forget to alert people to do that, so I'm having to remind myself over and over again. Again, the purpose for this channel is literally to build people and to build families through the Christian faith. It's an extension of our ministry, the Yearning Soul Christian Life Coaching Ministry. And so, my beloved siblings, to not waste your data, let us hit straight. Okay, to open up with the first word, we're going to be reading from Ephesians 6, verse 10. A final word: be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. And so, my beloved siblings, again, we are not fighting flesh and blood. And the purpose for this video is not to make you paranoid or to have you living in fear or have you identifying witches everywhere where there aren't witches, but it is literally to help you, to equip you, because I've seen that a lot of us as believers are extremely naive when we're dealing with witches, because witches are the most nicest people. When you look at them, of course, there's always the other side. But when you meet them, they are like extremely, extremely good with pretending. And I have stories for days, especially when I was being initiated as a Sangoma. And I think on another episode, I will be able to, get into depth about my story and how I encountered like one of my utmost betrayals came from someone who was a witch, who was the nicest person that the type of person that you would never ever even guess that they are a witch, but they were a witch, and are a witch and operating in witchcraft. And it's been interesting to also observe that, if you were to say to somebody else, hey, that's the witch, that person is a witch, a lot of people will be like, there's just no way, because literally this is where it requires discernment of spirit, because witches put on faces. They are very good with being secretive, with putting on a mask. They are the world's best performers until and what will help us as the church, what will help you, is allowing the Holy Spirit to discern the things not seen from the natural eye. Again, we are not fighting against flesh and blood. We're not fighting against people, but the spirits in people. And so, my beloved siblings, a lot of witches, in fact, not a lot of witches, all witches are operating with a spirit called the Jezebel spirit. And so some of these signs, for some of you that already understand the different spirits, some of you will be able to say, hey, this sounds similar to the Jezebel spirit, because it is the Jezebel spirit, right? That spirit is known for witchcraft, and so I'm not going to get into details about Jezebel and Ahab and the Old Testament, about who Jezebel was and that she was the queen, you know, and how she was using witchcraft and idolatry, you know, and sexual immorality to lure people away while she had a murderous spirit. And so people that are witches are also extremely, extremely highly strategic people, you know, and so you will notice that a lot of them have ailments of what looks like an extreme form of narcissism, because again, psychologists call it narcissism, but it's actually not narcissism. It's actually the Jezebel spirit. You know, it's just that psychologists do not use spiritual terms. And so let us hit straight, my beloved brothers and sisters. And please do not forget to engage with us, just to let us know, maybe if you might have had an experience with this, encountering a witch and the betrayal. Please do share a story at the comment section so that we can be able to engage. And so, my beloved siblings, as we mentioned, that witches are the most nicest people. They are brilliant at pretending. I'm going into my notes now. They are brilliant at pretending and manipulating, you know. And again, we mentioned that this is because they're operating with the Jezebel spirit. You know, some of them, so usually you'll find two types of witches. Ones that are really struggling, that are coming from, you know, lack of opportunities, or they grew up in deep ancestral worship. And then you get the ones in corporate that are on high levels of strategic. So you will notice that people that are high-ranking witches usually operate high positions of powers. So some of them, you know, you might find they operate that they are literally occupying high places of position. Some of them could be your manager, you know, some of them could even be your boss, because they've sacrificed to be there, right? You know, so and here's the thing, the thing is that because they're so charming and they're so good, you know, with people, a lot of people will be like, there's just no way that this person could be a witch. Again, going into narcissism, you know, narcissists are very good with creating a front, you know, a false front. And then as you get deeper into knowing the person, you realize drastically that it's literally two different people, you know, two different faces, sometimes even more, you know. And so, my beloved siblings, sign number one is that they want to get close to you, and they want to get close to you very fast. Again, you know, they want to be a friend immediately. I mean, normal people have healthy boundaries, whereas relationships can cook slowly and develop slowly. But witches don't operate like that. Witches want to dive in. They want to know as much information, and they want to know it fast. And so some of the questions that they might ask you are already, you know, highly inquisitive in an impolite manner, you know. In an impolite manner. And so a lot of witches are very fast in, as soon as you know them, you know, they want to, as soon as you meet them, they want to check you on social media. Who are you? You know, I want to see your life. I want to collect as much information about you as possible. And the reason why they want to know as much about you as fast as possible is that they know that by the time that you figure them out, they want to have gathered as much information as possible. And so it's very common for when you're meeting a friend who's a witch, immediately they want to be a friend on social media. You know, I remember when we first moved into a new neighborhood, is that when we moved into this new neighborhood, because they're always witches in neighborhood, they're highly territorial. They're always witches in neighborhoods, because I'm sure we all know that they're always, the best way I want to put it at is they're always territorial spirits in every place, in every neighborhood. So in every neighborhood, you'll have Christians and then you'll have witches. And what they are fighting for is territory, to dominate the territory, to dominate the space, to occupy that territory. That's the main goal. And so this is why you see them at workplaces as well. They occupy high positions and almost like close the gate for anybody else ever competing with them or climbing higher. So they're extremely territorial. So with myself and my husband moving into a new neighborhood, I remember, you know, and this was a white guy, you know, immediately upon meeting, my husband, immediately wanted to be his friend on social media. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank goodness my discernment buttons and bells are extremely high, but generally, I'm usually not into social media. So, I've had some really lovely people as well invite me on social media where we met, but it's just that I understand that space is where witches and energy harvesters operate. So I would rather be friends with people physically than on social media. Doesn't mean that I don't have a profile. I do have a profile, but I don't want to go short left, But the point is this person, my husband literally met this person on the street. The next thing, they were trying to locate my husband on social media, and sending him a friend request. And, my husband, just thinking, oh, it's just one of the neighbors. I was like, not a chance, And as I went through their profile, lo and behold, guess what was there? They're a Satanist. And immediately in the spirit, the Lord had told me that something, that they are warlock. And literally me going onto their platform, into their profile, immediately, I receive confirmations, through their pictures and through stuff, So, and then, so just be careful with you guys who are on social media. I'm not wanting you guys to operate out of fear, but just operate with utmost discernment, because social media is literally the enemy's playground, for energy harvesters and those that are deep into witchcraft. Sign number 2, they have a monitoring spirit. As you've mentioned, they will ask you highly intrusive questions, and very soon they want to know. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, where do you work? And where did you work before then? So what happened in your past? They have this need, to collect as much information about you, because they have a monitoring spirit in them. And so sign number 3, they lack any form of healthy boundaries or godly boundaries. They are in your, if you invite this person into your home again, you'll find them, they're going into your bedroom, they're going into places where they didn't ask, can I please? A normal person would be like, hey, where's the restroom or something? You could literally be going, you could literally be walking maybe in your home passage, and you're finding this person coming out of the bedroom. You'd be like, hey, and they'd be like, no, I was just looking. They do not respect boundaries. And so this is why a lot of believers are attacked, because a lot of us believers have the misconceived notion that to be nice, to be a good and nice person, means to lack boundaries. There's no such. Jesus Christ had boundaries, And so the more you struggle with people pleasing and being nice, the more you will literally be prey for these types of people. Again, when they come into your space, they want to dominate your space. They want to push you into the corner whilst they're impolitely going into your bedrooms or just being weird. And it's up to you to take authority over that spirit, subdue that spirit, and command that spirit to, I did not give you the right to be here. That's simple. Without being cruel, but just frank. Please sit down. You in my territory. This is how we operate in my territory. Because again, that spirit wants to dominate the space, You will see it as well also in business or in presentation. They're very dominating. There's one thing to have a very powerful personality, which I've seen many believers or anointed children of God, having a powerful presence. This is different than a person that is extremely, extremely on the domineering and dominating side, And so my beloved siblings, again, sign number 4 is that, again, they have a dominating and controlling spirit. It's so funny, I'm going through this without even going into my notes. Sign number 5, they absolutely hate submission. They cannot submit to any form of authority, And so you need to be careful, again, when you struggle with submitting to authority, when you struggle with thinking that you're the one who's always right, when you struggle with, refusing correction, when you struggling with pride as well, a lot of which is operating in pride, they will never genuinely say, I am sorry, I messed up, I made a mistake, a lot of them would rather manipulate, and they just won't say sorry. And so, as you can see already, that this is getting close to narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, you know. And another thing is that they absolutely hate church or scripture. They will say, oh, you're being holier than thou, or they hate anything to do with righteousness. You know, if they are going to church, they are usually pretending, and you'll eventually see that they're literally living a double life, you know. And so, my beloved siblings, the most important thing is literally to also listen to the Holy Spirit's discernment. Sign number 6, they are extremely envious and sometimes competitive, you know. Some of you have friends, you know, and I'm not trying to remove you from your friends, but I've seen literally people where I've experienced this as well, where I've had friends where if I'm doing something, they want to do that, and not just something similar, but exactly that, and you think, no, it's a coincidence, and then after like 4 or 5 times, you're like, no, they actually want to do everything. I mean, I remember at this one point, I was planning a white wedding, you know, it was my husband's 10th anniversary, you know, our 10th year anniversary, you know. And I remember, you know, a friend that wasn't even doing a wedding said that they'd never have a wedding, eventually started planning their wedding too, you know. And you think, no, it's just a coincidence, you know, you think it's just a coincidence, and then you're like, and then you look at the signs like, no, something's actually very off here, you know. Because again, as believers, it's important to give people the benefit of the doubt, you know, to literally hold people in high regard, you know, and, you know, to pray and just to make sure that, am I not reading too much into things? But usually by then, something in your spirit will be telling you consistently, something is off with this person. Everything you're doing, like in my case, everything I was doing, they wanted to do it. You know, if I bought something or I spent money on something, they want to know how much I spent on that, you know. And I remember too, this one time, they were even asking me about my wedding colors. I shared my wedding colors, you know, just sharing, you know. And immediately they started using the same, started wanting to use exactly the same wedding colors. Fortunately, I decided to change those colors without even telling them. So so it's, you know, unfortunately, these are the things that we're going through. And some people are not even aware that they're operating through witchcraft, you know. Sometimes it's unhealed trauma where they are literally struggling with the spirit of covetousness. And the spirit of covetousness is when they want what you have at all costs. And unfortunately, when a person has that spirit, you know, is that it's uncontrollable. You can't control them, and they can't control themselves either. So it's best to love that person from a distance, but to not have them at close vicinity. And if they're extremely jealous and competitive, cut them off. Me, I have no problem with cutting people off, you know. But by the time I moved to cut off, you would have had to show me repetitively that you are not a safe space, you know. And when I cut off, it's not because I think I'm better than you, or it's that I think that, you know, or it's out of judging. It's me realizing and recognizing that you have your own demons that you haven't confronted, and where God is taking me, those demons will hinder me, and I just cannot trust you, you know, in the territory where God is calling me to operate. And so, my beloved siblings, sign number 7, they have a very bad heart and a dark spirit about them. You know, whilst they can smile and seem so nice, you will also notice that something is off with their heart. You know, something is extremely off. Sign number 8, they are also quite secretive. You know, you will think you know them only to realize you don't. It's almost like you know them, but you actually don't. You know, because again, they understand the power of secrecy. So whilst they want to know everything about you, they are controlling their own information to ensure that they don't give too much away. Sign number 9, they absolutely love giving gifts. Me, my boundaries are, I don't receive gifts. You know, I don't. You know, and I know because sometimes it's not because the person is, it's not because the person is a witch. The reason why I also don't receive gifts, it's not because, you know, it's not always a case of the person is a witch, but sometimes, you know, maybe the person still has an area where maybe if they are still operating in ancestral worship or something, or they haven't received full deliverance in a certain area, because also spirits and demons attach to the person's presence. And when you take, demons attach through objects. And so when they give you those gifts, it's almost like a spiritual transfer. And so I'm always cautious that the only person I receive gifts from is my son and my husband. Anybody else, as much as I love people, and I know that, I've had really safe people, but I've had to be, because of the office where I operate, I've had to be intentional with not receiving gifts, because there were times when, after receiving gifts, the Lord would be like, go throw that thing away. And so to protect my heart, where now I actually really like this thing, the best way is that I just don't receive gifts, And sign number 10, they want to borrow money, physical cash, or sometimes clothes from you. Again, they need that form of agreement, that law of agreement we spoke about, that, where we mentioned that like a flitting sparrow or a darting arrow, a curse without a cause cannot land. So that when witches want to literally throw an attack against you, they literally need to create that open door, that open gate where the attack can land. And sometimes that is law of agreement. Sometimes when you give them your clothes, that is agreement in the spirit. They can do whatever, sometimes, when you give them that money, that is law of agreement. You gave that money, you willingly gave, you agreed to that. And so that forms a sort of spiritual transaction or spiritual agreement. And they will use that as a portal or an umbilical cord, a spiritual umbilical cord to connect to your life. So, and also they can also be touchy. They want to touch your hair. Sometimes like it's weird how this person is just touchy. I don't know this person well, but they're just so touchy. They want to have contact with you. Again, we are not to fear, but we are to put the full armor of God. And my greatest advice is that even when we're going into churches, into our beautiful churches, a lot of people that are going into churches are believers. But however, you also have a lot of witches and energy harvesters working churches. So I've noticed, I remember there were times when, literally where someone is coming in the church and I can tell they're a witch and they want to give me a handshake and I'm having to just go, So a lot of them, because they can see your star and they can see your destiny, some of them will intentionally want to shake your hand as, as bless you, and you're just having to just be cautious. So the best way to fight against this is literally to cover yourself in the blood of the Lamb and to put the full armor of God, to say that if you meet a witch or any energy harvester, that even when you shake their hand, there'll be no spiritual transference. You're not coming into any form of agreement with anything that is of the kingdom of darkness. Again, And again, the next video we'll be recording is a video on how to close all demonic portals. Again, and if you want to learn how to close all demonic portals and deliverance, our books are still available. The Lost Bride, we still have some books available because they've been selling. So if you're interested, please do not forget to email us to learn how to even deliver your own home from demons, yourself, your home from demons, and how to close portals. But that'll be our next video. And so, my beloved siblings, sign number 11, they operate through manipulation and false flattery to try to win favor with you. Again, they will over compliment you and you will feel it's a little bit fake, when someone is genuinely complimenting you and genuinely admiring you, and then when someone is kind of like using that as a form of manipulation to think that maybe you might gain favor in their books, and it's very important for us, again, to not be whilst it's important for us to be able to generally be grateful for, sincere compliments, but we need to guard against, being easily flattered, And sign number 12, again, they are extremely calculative and highly strategic. We spoke about that. Every move, every word spoken is literally calculated. Whilst we as children of God can fumble our way through saying the worst things, they are not like that. They are extremely intentional, extremely calculative, extremely prideful, extremely secretive, and they know how to manage people and manage people accordingly. You will think that, oh, I've known this person for a long time, but you realize I actually don't know this person. They know how to keep you in that corner and to just give you just enough, but not too much that you know them. It's almost like they have the secrecy about them again. and that goes to them being able to manipulate well and them becoming calculative. Sign number 13, they seem very nice up front, but behind the scenes they have a habit of pitting people against each other. Oh yes, yeah, they pit people against each other behind the scenes, or they may even be, even if they may not be outright gossipers, but what they do is they are very intentional with planting seeds. Like for example, if you have a friend, you know, a good friend, they'll be like, oh, what do you think about that friend? Do you think it's good that this friend just does this? Almost for you to be suspicious of an innocent person, you know, whilst they try to isolate you from actually genuinely good people, whilst manipulating and controlling you to come towards them. You will naturally believe that, oh, maybe this person cares for me, but no, it's just what they do. They're also gossipers and highly slanderous and speak negatively about people. And I've seen this very commonly, is that a lot of witches also have a slanderous, murderous spirit, which means they literally slander people. Sometimes they will do this and literally spread lies. When I was young, because I was naive and, you know, I would trust everyone, you know, and I remember dealing with a witch for the first time, and this person I would have never guessed were a witch, you know, and it took me years to recover from that, you know, and to realize that this person is literally like a snake of all sorts, you know, and they just have many sides. I mean, it's just not possible to have a person with that many personalities. You'd be like, I swear this person was nice, you know, but as much as they are so nice, your discernment will tell you that something is off. Something is off. Something's extremely off. Another sign that, a 15th sign, which I didn't write down, is that they also operate with a spirit of lust. A lot of them usually have this lustful spirit because, again, the Jezebel spirit is also a spirit affiliated with sexual immorality, but it's also a spirit because they're in witchcraft. You know, they operate with marine kingdom spirits, and because of that, you know, because they operate with marine kingdom spirits, those spirits also kind of like bring lust, you know, to them. And you'll see this because marine kingdom spirits are also, you know, like spirit husbands. People that have marine kingdom spirits will literally also be oppressed by spirit husbands, spiritual spouses. It's those spirits of lust, you know. And the reason why witches, again, will be struggling with lust is because they are working with these spirits. You know, this is how they literally steal people's glory in the night, try and terminate people's destinies, you know, through sending spirits of lust, you know. So because they work with those spirits, they're also afflicted and oppressed by the same spirits. And so, my beloved siblings in the faith, that being said, how to deal with this person? Okay, the Bible says have nothing to do with them. Okay, and I know that us as Christians, we believe that we can love everybody, right? You know, and that we are called to love everybody, you know, but we're not called to literally walk with everybody, you know. And this requires discernment, is that when you're dealing with people who are intentional agents of darkness, working for the kingdom of darkness, is that they know what they're doing, they know who they work for, and in fact a lot of them, they gain pleasure from seeing someone fall. So that person who's intentional versus a person who's just a sinner who's making general mistakes, those are two separate people. So the best way to overcome this person is to have nothing to do with them. And if you must deal with this person, maybe they could be a family member, have boundaries as high as your wall. You know, if you can avoid to not invite them in your house, do that. Because let me tell you what, they will stop at nothing to ensure that they either destroy you or have what you have. And that being said, my beloved siblings, I managed to record this video in just under 30 minutes. Please pray on this message. Keep remember, we'll be recording another video on how to close demonic portals, you know, and we'll be going into details about spiritual warfare. This is not to make you just learn about demons. but it's literally to equip you and to ensure that you don't fall into the traps of the enemy. And that being said, my beloved siblings, do not stop yearning for the beautiful presence, move, and blessing of God upon your life. Have a blessed day. Cheers.